We are all creator beings. We all come from soul, from spirit, from the ethers. We created these bodies, these lives, everything that we see around us in this physical plane. We manifested flesh and bone and the will to be here and stay here. And it's our birthright to be creative. I think that we all have the ability to make something artful in life. And some people's art is not art at all, but it's their creative expression. And it's the expression that they're here to share or to bring forward into the physical. Being a creative being takes a lot of courage, and it's easy for those creative impulses to get shoved down or pushed to the side by life and other things that seem more important or valuable or valid or tangible or whatever. For me, creating is a powerful way to learn, heal, grow, and observe and figure out what's going on in my subconscious, because the creative mind comes from that right brain, expansive place that is our ticket to our intuition, to our conversation with spirit, with our guides, with our dreams. That's where creativity comes from. It comes from the vast mystery. And when we tap into that, we are working that channel. We're working that line home to ourselves, our higher selves. I've been building altars most of my life. I've made them out of mosaics. I've made shelf versions and wall-hanging versions and tall and small and tiny versions and huge ones. I believe that altars are a way that we can tangibly connect with spirit. And so for me, creating an altar is itself a ritual, and interacting with the altar on a regular basis makes it come alive. The elements are alive. And when you engage with your altar through fire and water and earth and air and ether and sound, when you talk to your altar, when you sing to it, it sings back and magic happens. I experienced real magic in my relationship with altars when I was 22, and I had just moved to New York City, and I did not have a job, and I did not have very much money, and I really needed a job. What I really wanted was to work at a super cool restaurant in the East Village, and I had never had any restaurant experience. I had a really, really small, pathetic resume. And when I went into my number one choice of places to work, it was this funky little place called the Old Devil Moon. And I just thought it would be the coolest place to work because it was covered in velvet Elvises and all kinds of amazing kitschy art everywhere. And they took my resume and they buried it in the bottom of their pile of resumes, and they looked at me like, yeah, right, you're never going to get a job here. And so I left and I went home to my apartment in Brooklyn. And I sat at my altar and I prayed. I called on my guides and allies. And I sat in a meditative state for what felt like a really long time. I got very expansive. I felt my energy getting taller and taller and taller until I could barely even tell that I had a body. And I remember this so vividly because I was in this ecstatic state where I didn't have any more need. All of a sudden, my desperation to find a job was just gone. And I just had total faith. And literally in that moment, the phone rang. And it was the old devil moon. And they were in a state of emergency. Their person hadn't come in, and they were like, can you work right now? Can you come here right now and start today? And so I did. I said, yes, I will be there. And I ran out the door and I was ecstatic. Altars don't have to be fancy. They don't have to be beautiful or decorated. And there's nobody that can tell you what kind of altar you need or you should have. It's completely 100% up to you and your imagination. You get to make that up. The objects that go on your altar are whatever feel sacred to you. Maybe they're found objects that you come across on a walk. Maybe you want to ask them permission. Would they like to come home with you? Would they like to live on your altar for some period of time? You can actually put the physical elements on your altar. If you want to call in earth, place soil or a plant. If you want to call in air, you could place a feather. If you want to call in water or fire, you get the idea. Light that candle. But when you begin working with your altar, before you ask for anything, it's really important to invoke the energies of the space, to really claim that sacred space, that it's safe, that it's held. And that's the role of the ether. It's that gateway, it's the beginning, it's the space holder. And the altar is really, in my opinion, that is the ether expression, the altar itself. So if you want to invoke ether, just have an altar. Sometimes it's hard to even get to that place of invocation. It's hard to begin. And for me, the best way to tend the ether in preparation for invoking the ether is to clear the space itself on a physical level. And I do this regularly with my art space, or with the house, right? It's an act of devotion. It's more than just cleaning. It's cleaning with consciousness. Maybe you could call it conscious cleaning. But it's really about clearing out the energy. And you can clear the energy in your body, in your channel, in your whole self-alignment, just by decluttering one drawer, one closet, or the space that you inhabit. This is a really valid way to get yourself back into alignment when things feel off. Just sweep the floor. Get the cobwebs out of the corner. Your house on a symbolic level represents your body, and your body is the physical manifestation of your energy. Often in dreams, we can look at our home this way, and it's helpful also in the dream of your life to view your house as an extension or symbol of your life or your body, the container within which you live. How are you tending it? Where are you ignoring it? And what does this reveal about the rest of you? We can change our energy and create more space for flow and alignment by tending to this physical space of our home in a conscious way. Because the ether element is both the container and the space within. So it's helpful if you want to change your energy or make more space for self-expression and creativity and connection with your vaster self and your intuition, and to allow the space itself to love you. Imagine the sentience of everything around you, that it's holding you, that it's participating. And you can engage your imagination as you're cleaning your house or your space. And as you're loving the space and the space is loving you, think about your body loving you. Because everything is vibrating, and the frequency of love is so healing. And it might seem sort of egocentric or weird to anthropomorphize your home or the inanimate objects that surround you, but this is only according to that left-brained, logical, ego-based version of reality that needs to quantify things, that sees things as separate, not as an extension or reflection or aspect of us. And in order to shift into a non-dualistic perspective and embrace the deepest kind of belonging we can engage in, it's actually helpful to see yourself in everything. It's actually selfless to see yourself in everything and everyone. It's not self-centered, and it's much more responsible and giving. Just think about how we as a society at large would treat each other differently if we all saw ourselves in one another, if we saw ourselves in every object we encountered in nature as one with the planet and the animals, vibrating at the frequency of love. We're not so separate, and we're not so solid. We're frequency-based beings made of the 5 elements. But more than any other element, we're made of ether. Your body is 99.9% energy space and only 0.1% solid matter, which is why they say in quantum physics that if you took all the space out of your body and all that was left was the solid parts, you would be roughly the size of a speck of dust. And all humanity would be about the size of a sugar cube. We are electrons and protons that are dancing around each other. And most of what we think of as solid is actually energy in motion, electromagnetic forces, attracting and repelling. But doesn't it feel good to tune into that? To the fact that no matter how still or dense we may feel, we're always in motion. We are charged particles dancing, not separate, not solid. We are the mystery. We are vast containers of potential energy. Where do we want to direct this? At what frequency do we want to be vibrating? Because when you tap into that potential, something happens. Something begins to shift. And the world becomes richer. And we start to feel more connected, more fluid, more expansive, more a part of everything. And that's worth cultivating. This is the second episode in this series, how to cultivate and maintain energetic alignment through the elements. Be sure to check out the episode before this, where I share the context for what alignment is and isn't, and to listen for the next one, where I will be sharing all about the heart chakra and the air element and how to align yourself through that. Thank you for commenting, liking, following, subscribing, giving it a thumbs up on the video, following the podcast wherever you hear podcasts. Thank you for participating with your energy, for being here. It's such an honor to be in sacred community with you. We're all alone, we're all one. We're all alone, we're all one. We're all alone, alone, alone. We're all alone, alone, alone. We're all one. We're